Hey everybody, it's your girl Giggles. Make sure and go check out Listen Up, Listen In podcast with Preezy. Real talk for real people.
Hey everybody, before I even get started, all praises due to Jehovah God and Jesus Christ every day. Amen. Now let's start the show.
Tanya, you ready?
Listen up, listen in. 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 Thanks for tuning in. Let's have a conversation. Talking worldwide, it don't matter your location. What you going through and the topic may have relation. Let's get some motivation. Let's swap out education. Every Friday we heal, laugh, improve, and grow. Put some nutrients in your mind, give you food for the soul. I know you pumped and preparing for your weekend and low. Might as well join the discussion and tune into the show. Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in.
Hey everybody, welcome to Listen Up, Listen In podcast. This is Preezy, and I have a very special guest today. But before I allow her to tell everybody who she is, I am going to read her bio myself. She's a master relationship coach, strategic interventionist, Wall Street Journal best-selling author, public speaker, and owner of Highest Intent Life Coaching. Kari Petruch has been helping people all over the world, for a lifetime. A mother of 3 and a grandmother of 8, and married to the man of her dreams. Kari has a lifetime of experience with many people and cultures. Having lived in many places in the world, she is uniquely qualified to help all people. Kari spent her young adulthood as a stay-at-home mom, where she devoted herself to changing people's lives by educating military families about the Individuals with Disabilities Act, IDEA, and volunteering as a parent advocate for children with special needs. Her truest mission is to help as many people as possible to embrace the incredible joy and excitement that comes with a great relationship so that they will live their best lives together. And in Kari's spare time, she continues to volunteer her time to help military families to have happier lives. And Kari has helped many couples with innovative ideas and amazing tools throughout the years. She is the author of Get Out of the Box and Into Play, The Secret to a Lasting Relationship. She is a contributing author in the Wall Street best-selling book, WFT to OMG. Kari has a future plan to create a fabulous couples retreat. So without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Kari Petruch. Welcome, Kari. How are you?
I'm doing really well, feeling a lot of fun and joy today.
That's good. That's good. That's good. And before we get started, I always like to ask my guests, how's your day going so far?
My day is going just fine so far. I love, I've had some challenges already this morning and I just find joy in those challenges.
Awesome. Me too. And I have fun.
Yeah.
And I sang to you too, Kari. I was singing to you. So now I don't read your beautiful bio, and I hope I didn't tell your whole story, but I had to read everything because this is awesome. Anybody that helps other people, I think is so awesome, but only you can tell your story. So tell my audience who Kari Petruch is.
Wow. I have a huge amount of experience in my life, but I think something that's really important to remember is not to bring people down, but I grew up in a very, very abusive early childhood, and my mother suffered from paranoid schizophrenia. And so my early childhood was one of not understanding what reality was. She wanted me to talk to people who weren't there and kill bugs on the walls that weren't there. And
Wow.
I truly thought that there was something wrong with me. And then I went to school. Thank God for school, because school showed me that no, there wasn't anything wrong with me. There was something wrong with her.
Mm.
Her illness led to her having a delusion and not knowing who I was and thinking that I was someone that I wasn't. She picked me up and threw me into a glass table and broke my neck.
Oh my
I
God.
was paralyzed for 6 months and didn't speak for a year. And now, of course, I'm walking and talking just fine. And it was my grandmother who was my saving grace. She loved me into being, and one day she was in the kitchen, and I padded into the kitchen on a summer morning and looked at her and said, "Grandmother," she had her back to me, she was washing the dishes, and I said, "Grandmother, there's a butterfly on my shoulder." I walked into the kitchen with a butterfly on my shoulder, and those are the first words I spoke to her.
Oh wow.
And she fell down
Wow.
on her knees and thanked God. And my enduring faith in God, my entire life has been based on my grandmother's faith. And she always told me that no matter what anything happened, no matter who did anything to me, that there was something up there that's going to love me no matter what. And I held on to that faith. Her faith became my faith, and I still have that strong faith today. Like I said, I've been through a lot of experiences, but it's important to know that the abuse that I endured in my early childhood didn't define me. What defined me was my faith in something bigger than me that I call God.
Wow. That's beautiful. Wow. I'm so sorry that you went through that um as a young child.
You know,
Um
Preezy, I hate to interrupt you, but you know what? I am not upset that I went through that, because I really feel like that was God's plan for me so that I could help other people. The experiences, my soul must have been strong enough to handle it, because today I don't live in that pain, but I do live in helping others to get through their traumatic experiences. I believe in and being a vessel. I really do. And that traumatic experience to me is a part of my story. And I was victimized, but I'm not a victim. I don't have to be. That's not really what God's plan is for me.
right. Wow, that's beautiful because whew, some people would not even think that way. Did you have to go to therapy?
True. I did. I went through years of therapy. I really did. And I do believe in therapy and therapists. I think that they are absolutely valuable. I needed to go to therapy to raise my children. I needed to go to therapy to conquer some of the demons that I held on to when I was a young mother. I was really afraid that I was going to become that person that my mother was. And so I took action, and I believe in action. And I went to therapy. I went to parenting classes. And don't laugh too hard. I was the only not court ordered person in a parenting class.
Really? Oh
I
wow.
was. I was the only one in there that was not court ordered to be in there, because I wanted the best for my children. And today I've got three very successful children. Um, and they're very, very happy people. One of my children has six of his own. So um, it worked. I turned the tide. I made a change. Now, was I a perfect parent? Well, there's no perfect parents because there are no perfect children.
Right.
I was I took the steps to break the chain as much as I could, and it is my children's responsibility to do some more correcting if they need to. But we can't be perfect parents, but we can certainly be the best parents we can be.
Absolutely. That is so true. Wow. So, what about growing up? Did did that abuse affect you as far as growing up?
Oh,
As
sure it
far as
did.
people and trusting people. I know you. I know the trust level had to be different.
I was, surprisingly, when I was in school and growing up, I was extraordinarily withdrawn. I didn't speak to many people. I was very, very quiet young lady in school, and I did a lot of observing. I watched people and their interactions with each other, and I'm a very empathetic woman, and I was a very empathetic child. And so, I would go home and I would cry because I would watch other children treat each other badly. But I was not, I was very withdrawn. And no, I didn't trust anybody. I didn't trust what I saw. I didn't learn as a child how to be a friend and have a friend. That came much later in my life. I didn't have a best friend, or which I do today, thank God. And I didn't understand relationships. So I spent a lot of time observing, watching what other children did, what other adults did. And it was, like I said, it was a path and a plan for me to be a coach, you know, to be able to watch and just listen and um, not engage as a child and as a young adult served me well for coaching. But because of that, I also did not understand how to choose a mate. And the
Wow.
first person who showed me attention, I thought I had really low self esteem. I thought that I was ugly. And I believed that, no one would ever want to date me. Well, this guy who had black hair, blue eyes, 6'4", was really interested in me. And, I didn't understand why, but I thought, wow, nobody else is ever going to be interested in me. So, what happened was, because I was so afraid of being alone and not being loved and all of those terrible self-esteem issues, I chose someone who was mentally, physically, and emotionally abusive to me. And I stayed in that relationship for 30 years until I fled to a shelter. Um,
Wow.
it was a life of hiding, hiding when I was hurt, hiding when I had bruises. And um he didn't hit me in the face because he didn't want anybody to know he hit me. So, all of those things happened, and I gathered up my courage, and the courage came from, ironically, from a Texas woman. And we were at an event, and it was a military responsibility thing. And I was there, and my ex-husband told me to shut up in front of a bunch of people. And this Texas woman grabbed me by the arm and she says, "We're going to the bathroom."
Wow.
And she took me to the bathroom and she looked right at me and she says, "Woman, you need to get your happy AWS to Texas, because we don't put up with that there." And she said, "And you need to get this man out of your life." She goes, "You are worthy of love. You are worthy of being treated with respect. And we don't tolerate that stuff in Texas. You need to get there." It took me 10 more years of military moves to get there, which is where I am now. But I did. And I got here and I waited the allotted time, which is 9 months you have to wait to be in this state before you can file for a divorce in this state. And 9 months and one day, I was out and I fled to a shelter and I haven't looked back since. I haven't regretted it, not for a moment. It was the best thing I ever did in my entire life.
Wow. So being abused verbally and physical from mom to get
Hmm.
in a relationship and go through the same thing verbally in an abusive relationship.
Hmm.
Oh man, that would really tear somebody's self-esteem down. Wow.
And
Now,
it did.
ooh, wow. You were married how long now? You said 30 years?
I was in that relationship for 30 years. I started the relationship at the age of 16. I was married for 27 years. So the total was 30 years in that relationship.
When did abuse start?
After the first child was born, actually,
Oh,
you know, after the
that's
first
rough.
baby was born. Yeah. And, what's remarkable is I wish no ill upon this man. I do not. The forgiveness
Right,
is in my heart and is
right,
and it is gone. He is married to another woman and um apparently he doesn't treat her the same, has learned his lessons, I guess. I don't know, but I wish him joy. He is still and always will be the father of my three children.
right,
And for that I owe him a modicum of respect. But the greatest thing that ever happened to me was forgiving those who harmed me. Um, to be able to really truly forgive freed me, and in a way that I can never ever really truly explain to anybody unless they do it.
right, right,
That that forgiveness freed me to help other people. That's what was so important, is that I couldn't use my experience to help other people until I forgave, because forgiveness is really about me. It's not really about the other person.
right,
He doesn't care if I forgive him or not, and neither does anybody else who ever hurt me in my life. But what matters is that I find forgiveness for them so that my spirit, my soul can be free to help other people.
So you never told anyone what was going on. You kept it to yourself. You hid it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He was an officer in the military. We mustn't affect his career.
Oh
If I had
man.
ever said anything, his career would have been over.
So you were more
So,
concerned about him instead of yourself.
absolutely. I was concerned about my ex-husband. I was concerned about my children. I did not value me in the
Right.
same way. My life was dedicated to everyone else. It wasn't until after I left that I learned to value me
Self
and learned
love.
to, yeah, self-love came after that relationship ended. But when I found self-love is when I found the love of my life.
Right. Wow, that's beautiful. So you left and you had to go to a shelter with your children.
No, no, no. My children were grown and gone when I left.
Oh, right. You did say 30. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they were grown and on their own before I finally took the step out. Um, my self-esteem was so low and I was so afraid. I didn't think I could survive on my own with my kids, and I was not. I was given cash once a month to take care of things. I didn't have a checking account, no credit card, no nothing.
Wow. Your
Right.
control.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was under absolute control. And so, and the belief that I could not get a job, I couldn't survive, I couldn't do anything. But that started to change toward the end of my marriage. I actually used my volunteer time and got a job. It was really tough going on, but I managed to do my job and fulfill my responsibilities at home at the same time. So, lots of women do that, and um, uh, but that was what helped me to save the money to walk out the door.
Right. I think a lot of women, a lot of men don't like the fact that women today are so assertive. But I think it's important because, you know, God forbid if something happens. Now you're stuck. I remember something that Judge Judy said. She says, when a man has full control of everything, you're stuck. You need to have things on your own. You need to have your own bank account. You need to do things in the event that it doesn't work out. And I think that's why maybe a lot of women stay too. And not only that, fear of the unknown, fear of the person, and just scared of doing things on their own. So you felt that way. Kari, you can hear me?
Episode.
Uh-oh.
She is
You can
so.
hear me? You
Can you hear me?
I think I lost you. I think I lost you for a little bit. Were you talking?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think I
Okay.
lost you. I was
Okay.
saying that how
So
women, I
what I
remember. Did you hear when I said something about Judge Judy?
I did. And with Judge Judy, I saw that episode. And it was a great episode because it made me cry because that was the truth. I was
Uh-huh.
in a hopeless state of helplessness and terrified, and she is absolutely right. Today I have my own bank account, I have my own business, I have my own stuff,
Yes,
and and my husband does not even think about crossing over, but we are open, so he
right,
knows where my money is, he knows all of this stuff, he knows how to access anything he needs to access because we are one, we are,
right,
and I do too. And he doesn't hide anything from me at all. He tells me about the
right.
bills, he shows me the bills, he makes sure that I know in case anything should happen to him. We are financially responsible to each other so that we don't have, God forbid, something happened to one of us, even if it's being in the hospital long term, we're financially responsible to each other. So
That's good.
it's a very different relationship. This man just loves me to death. This man buys
Nice.
me
That's
flowers
nice.
for no reason, opens the door for me today, still to this day. He pulls my chair out. He's a gentleman, and he just, all he wants to do is bring me joy and for me to have joy in my life.
That's
And
awesome.
I am so blessed. And it's been, our relationship has been for 7 years now. And for 7 years, he still treats me as if he's dating me, you know?
Wow, that's awesome. Sound like a Tina Turner story, because Tina Turner, she had went through so much, and I looked at her documentary, and her husband, we're gonna miss Tina Turner. This
Yeah.
guy that she was with, oh, it was love. It was love. So, she went through so
Mhm.
much, and you went through so much, and now you found your true love. I guess that's how life is, huh? But the verbal and the physical abuse, it's just terrible, because how long did it take you to trust again?
Trust people again or trust a man again?
Both, because you
Um,
went through stuff with your mom, then your husband. It's like, man, like double whammy here.
no, okay. This might sound really, a lot of people work on it, work on it, work on it, work on it. But when I got down on my knees and I asked forgiveness and I asked God to take it from me, something happened and it just took it from me. If you heard my husband, he would tell you, Kari, you trust people until they prove they can't be trusted.
Right.
He said most people don't trust people and then want them to prove they can be trusted. And he goes, how did you get there? And I looked at him and I said, because most people can be trusted. In my mind, most people can be trusted. And the ones that can't, well, you showed me you can't, so you can't. Let's move on, you know.
I'm like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm like your husband. Like, I,
You
I,
know.
I gotta, I gotta, you gotta earn it. I don't know. And I love the fact that your faith for God is so strong because
Mhm.
you wouldn't have got to this place if it wasn't for God. Your faith is really
Mhm.
strong, Kari, and that's
Mhm.
that's why you are where you are today. And kudos to you with that, because I really believe that if God is not in your life, it's not right. It's not going to be right. I'm telling you. So I love the fact that your
Mhm.
faith for God is strong, and He's the one that has gotten you through this. You believe that?
No, yeah. Yeah, no, there's no other way that I am able to look at it. You know, other people can look at things the way they look at them, and I certainly don't fault or judge anybody for how they decide to look at it. For this human being, without God, I would be dead.
Yeah,
I would be.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the way that I felt about myself and the way that I was, believe me, not being here was an option at one time in my life.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
and it was not the children. It was not my grandmother, whom I adore. It was no human being. It was only my faith in God that kept me alive. Only. That's the only thing that there was. Yes, yeah.
Did you hit the mute button?
No, I did not.
I lost you when you said something about your grandmother.
Oh, yes. If it weren't for, I love my grandmother and she was wonderful to me. And I have had people in my life that are wonderful, but the bottom line was is I came to a point in my life where it was, do I live or die? And none of those people in my life kept me alive. No human being kept me alive. It was down on
Right.
my knees and talking to God. It was God that kept me alive. And
That's
and
right.
that's when I knew that there was a plan and a purpose, though I didn't know what that was. There is a reason for my existence on this earth. And
That's right.
right. So, I there are a lot of people who have a lot of different ideas, but that's mine. That worked for me.
So after you went into the shelter, what else? What happened next?
I got on my feet, I got a checking account.
Wow.
And that was a big deal. And then I got my first credit card. It was so funny because
Wow.
the only person that would give me a credit card for $150 was Walmart.
What? Shout out to
And
Walmart. Shout out to Walmart. Wow, they got Kari on her feet. That's what's up. Nice. So you got the credit card, you got the checking account. What happened?
are you there?
Yes,
Okay, I'm
I'm
not
here.
sure. I'm not sure what everything's okay here, so I'm
So,
not
so
sure.
you,
Okay,
so
so
I gave, I
Walmart
gave,
was
I gave Walmart a shout out. I gave Walmart a
yeah,
shout out.
I know,
So what
I
happened?
probably shouldn't have said Walmart, but it was Walmart who gave me my first credit card I was a 46-year-old woman who had a zero credit score.
Wow.
Zero. I had never had credit in my whole life.
So why is that? Because if you tried, he would say something, or you just didn't want to
No,
do it. You just was.
no, I wasn't allowed. I wasn't
Oh
allowed to have a credit
man,
card or a checking account, or it was I'm not allowed.
you was a prisoner in your own house.
I was, but I made the best of what I had. Let me tell you.
Right.
I mean, I did everything I could do for my children. Um, and that was allowed.
Right.
So, but I got my first credit card for $150, and I charged $100 on it and paid $25 a month. And then the next the next place gave me a credit card for $500, And so I had to build a credit score. At 46 years old, I had to do something that, and the bank at first said, listen, zero credit score is way worse than a bad one. You don't
You're
have
right.
any.
Yeah. No derogatory complaints, right? Yeah, you're right.
Right. So, and they were like, how did you get to be this age with no credit score? And I just broke down and started crying when I got to the bank, and this wonderful woman looked at me and she goes, I'll be right back. She went and talked to the bank manager, and she came back and she says, we're going to give you a credit card for $500. We're just going to give you that trust.
Oh, wow. That's
And
nice.
so things fell into place for me. Someone took a chance on hiring me for a job, so I had a job. I had another person. God provided for me.
Yes.
We invited
Yes.
it to me. I got a job where I had insurance, so I could go to therapy. You know,
Oh,
um,
yes.
I there if y'all don't believe in there's something out there, there is. Just
Oh, yeah.
things fell into place for me. And I just kept praying and praying and praying, and that healing came, the forgiveness came. I started working, boy, I believe that I was not smart enough to manage my finances. I had a lot of messages in there, and I learned I am smart enough. I'm smart enough to do a lot of things.
That's right. Given the
But
opportunity, yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So,
So how I did it is I just kept taking one step at a time.
right.
And how I ate that elephant was one bite at a time, one bite at a time, one bite at a time. And I really thoroughly enjoy if I have women who are in situations like that and they have the courage to step out. I really enjoy helping them step out. You know, I got a full wardrobe at, I don't want to say the name or anything, but I got a full wardrobe at two major thrift shops, and one of them helped me to get into business attire, which I did not have when I walked away from my marriage. And she helped me, and this particular organization charged me 5 cents per piece of clothing.
Wow.
Right, 5 cents.
And so you started looking for work.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, because grace and blessing is I had a job. I managed a deployment center in Germany, and I got that job through volunteering. So I did have some work history there, and I was able to get another job. So yeah.
So how did you get into this organization of helping military families?
Oh, because I learned about the Individuals with Disability Education Act because my daughter is deaf, and she's my second born, and my third born son is hard of hearing and Asperger's. So I made it my mission to learn the law. And then when I realized there were so many parents who didn't really know about the law, I started doing seminars where parents could come and learn about the law. And so I taught them about the law. And then the schools approached me and said, hey, you know about the law. We have parents who don't show up for their IEP, individual education plan, and they don't
Right.
show up for their appointed time. Would you be interested in coming in and volunteering your time to help this child as a parent advocate? And I said, absolutely. And the school didn't pay me. They weren't allowed to pay me. I had to come in on my own. And
Wow.
so I went in because I learned the law and knew the law. And and advocated for my own children and taught other people how to advocate for their own children, I spent my time advocating for kids whose parents, really didn't have the time or didn't want to, or there were parents that were English was their second language and it was very, very poor, and I would come in and help them too.
Wow. Wow. Do you know sign language?
I do know sign language, though I tell people I can sign like a third grader. That's about it.
I
Don't
was
ask me
taking a
the fine
course in
technical
sign
stuff.
language. I want to get back into it. I think it's really awesome.
It
Yeah.
is really awesome. It is. My daughter is very special. She does American Sign Language, but she signs in German, and she also speaks fluently. She has a lip reading score of 97% accuracy.
Wow.
So
That's
she is
awesome.
quite amazing. So she speaks and signs.
Oh, that's awesome. Was it difficult? Was that a challenge of having a child that was deaf?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I started her off telling her that she could do and be anything she wanted to. What I realized is
Absolutely.
that,
Yes.
but what I realized is there are some limitations, but we all as human beings don't have every gift, and we all have limitations. So she came to me and was crying because she wanted to be in the choir. Well, a deaf child cannot sing in a choir. You
Right.
know, it just she can't do that. But we had an alternative. She signed in the choir.
Right.
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 So she was a part of
Okay.
it. But and then she wanted to play the violin, which you have to be able to hear to play the violin. You
Right.
can't you can't do that. And she cried and said, "But mommy, you said I could be anything I wanted to be when I grew up." And I said, "Listen, there are plenty of people who can't sing, who are tone deaf and cannot sing not anything at all, and they hear just fine. And there
Right.
are plenty of people out there who cannot play the violin.
Right.
We
Right.
don't all get endowed with every gift. These are just not your particular gifts. That doesn't mean that you can't be who you want to be when you grow up."
Right. That's true. Wasn't there a woman? I don't know. I don't want to mess up. Helen. Was it Helen Stella? I
Helen
don't know.
Keller.
Keller.
Helen Keller,
Helen
and
Keller. Yeah.
her greatest teacher was Annie Sullivan.
Yes.
And ironically, when I was a little girl, I was absolutely fascinated with Annie Sullivan's biography. And
Yeah.
lo and behold, there you go. Maybe that was God preparing me for what was about to happen. But and that was the. But I will tell you that my daughter being deaf wasn't the biggest challenge. My biggest challenge as a parent was my son, my youngest son, who's hard of hearing, but Asperger's. That was,
Asperger's. Yeah.
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Asperger's.
Well, it's mild autism today. In today's world, they have different, their number or whatever on the autism spectrum or whatever.
Right. Yes.
But it's just a way of thinking and a way of dealing. I knew something was different with my child when I would put food on his plate and he would absolutely refuse to eat because the food was touching. And what hungry child refuses to eat food just because his green beans were touching his mashed potatoes? You know, he absolutely couldn't take it, and there was just so many telltale signs. Like go to Walmart, and he's like having a little fit in Walmart because he wants out of the cart. So I pulled him out of the cart and I paused and I was looking at something and I was with him, and this child took an entire lipstick and fingernail polish display within minutes and organized it the way it was supposed to be.
What?
Right. No 3-year-old does that I know of. He's extraordinarily intelligent. He has genius level intelligence, but the telltale signs, which I didn't know, and it was a tough time, but my absolute commitment. Thank goodness I had this wonderful friend of mine who happened to be a child psychiatrist. She said, Kari, whatever you do, socialize him in every way possible. So I did he had sports he was involved in, he had scouts he was involved in, he was involved in after school activities at school. He ended up in high school playing every sport that he could. He was in season for all the whole school year. He was a very, very sociable child because I made sure that he had plenty of opportunities to socialize. And this is the man who is married to his wonderful wife and has 6 children.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. He has 6 kids. He doing all right.
Yeah. They both work and he is doing all right. He really
That's
is.
good. That's
Um, he,
awesome.
he's working and making good money, and so is she. They are both, they struggled at first because they had little kids at home and not so much money, but now they're doing very, very well.
So you're a
So
life coach. You're a relationship life coach.
yes, I'm a master relationship coach.
Wow, that's nice. So tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, I just, I got really tired of the corporate world, and I got down on my knees and I asked God, what is your purpose? Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? And it came to me that my purpose is to help other people to have good relationships. And so I went about the business of going to school and getting my certification and volunteering for experience and working with that. But it is, based on my experience and the faith that I have and the joy that I have. um it is to me, it is my purpose to do this, and this is why I do it.
Have you
This
had some challenging cases before?
Oh yes, Preeti. Oh yes, yes. One case that I had was a couple who was coming in and screaming at each other in my office, and I was like, no, 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 I don't do that. You're not gonna come in my space and
Hold up, wait a
scream.
minute. This is the wrong
Mm-mm-mm.
office.
No, no, we don't.
Yelling
Yeah,
and screaming, huh?
I don't tolerate screaming from anybody anymore.
Right.
But um, they came in there and they were headed for divorce. They were in my office and they were headed down to the divorce attorney's office. And they came in there for whatever reason. I don't know why, but what it must have been a God led thing. But they came in there and they sat down and back forth, back forth, back forth, and I stopped them. And then I said, what, how'd you guys get together? And it startled them. And I'm like, tell me your romantic story. I want to hear from each one of you how you fell in love. And they were both so mad, but they calmed down and they got calmer and calmer and calmer. And I said, I just want you to do one thing. I want you to leave my office together and I want you to hold hands and I want you to make it your mission for the next week just to hold hands and hold space for each other. Just hold hands again and start remembering how you fell in love in the first place.
Right.
And this is 3 years later, and they're still married and very happy. And she laughs and says, he pats me on the butt again, and they play chase around the house again, and they hold hands, and he's a gentleman, and he buys her flowers like my husband does, and opens the door for her, and they are absolutely madly in love again. So
That's awesome.
it sometimes it just takes just one time to get people to remember why. remember where, how, who, when, just stop and remember what was it? Because the love's still there. You just got a whole bunch of mess clogging up the drain. You need to
Right.
get through the drain to get to where you were to begin with. And it's
And
amazing.
yeah, and you know what it is? I think in relationships, you can have good points. He can have good points. But if you're both yelling, you can't hear it. Like you're not really listening to each
Yeah.
other.
That's a
And
good
you,
that's a
you
good
know, you
point.
yeah, you're just pulling out swords like you're Spartacus. Hey, I'm going to take you down, you bloody, damn you, Henry, and you ready, you're just ready to kill each other. But you got good points. Got good points. Let's put it together. And sometimes you need another person to tell y'all that because you're not
Mhm.
hearing each other. And I think it's so good sometimes to go to a stranger and let them tell you, hey, yesterday, you know what? You were wrong. You were wrong for what you said to her. And hey, you were wrong for what you said to him. Because we always think we
Mhm.
right. Now I'm right. No, you go back and forth and nobody's listening to each other. Nobody's taking the time. And I think couples take for granted. They take for granted, you know, whatever.
Mhm.
She's here, he's here, they ain't going nowhere. And
You know,
it's not
yeah.
fair.
You are right that one thing is couples definitely have the need to be right is in every relationship, whether you're in a romantic relationship or not. Um,
You got a little beeping in your phone.
yeah, somebody was calling, but I got rid of it. So
Okay.
not rid of them, just the call.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I want to
um,
hit one. I call you hit woman Kari. Well,
yeah, yeah, I'm not sure. I can't stop the buzzing when it happens because the calls will come in. Really, one of the major things that I help couples with is what you just touched on, which is one, listening with the heart, because so many people, couples, relationships, so many people have trouble with their listening skills. Two,
hmm
I talk about the need to be right and how absolutely divisive it is to any relationship, whether you are in a romantic relationship or not. The need to be right does more damage than anything in the world. And I teach couples how to stop the blame game. That's the
right,
other thing that is one of the most divisive things with the blame game. The blame game is anger and very often leads to name calling and just viciousness. And um, so I try to work really super hyper focus on those three things with my couples. So of course we talk about other things, but my job is not to fix them. My job is to give them tools so that they can fix themselves.
right,
That's what my job is. I'm not some magic fixer upper person and make promises to couples that I can make their relationship all better. I don't. I bring them in and I give them tools and I say, you are responsible for making your relationship
right,
what you want it to
right.
be.
And
And
people
nobody,
people gotta understand too that when you're in a relationship, that person is not to make you happy. They're there to make you happier. You should come into the relationship already being happy, loving yourself,
mhm,
motivating yourself. I'm here to make you happier. And I think a lot of people come into relationships, oh, well, I need this and I need, but are you happy with you? Because if you're not happy with you, how are you going to love me right? If you're not happy with yourself. So that's why I always
mhm,
encourage therapy. You got to have that
mhm.
self-love first. Cuz
Well,
how you going to love anyone or anything if you don't love yourself?
well, and you know, I I, I can say that. Um, therapy helps to teach people how to work on loving themselves.
Yes.
It really does. I am a big fan of. I'm a coach and not a therapist, but I am
Right.
a big fan of therapy. If therapy
Yes.
was I, and this is what I'll tell you: therapists help heal hurts, which
Yes.
is key and essential. And not to be, but coaches kick you back into play
Yes.
so they can work together beautifully. You work on the healing the hurt, and then it's like, okay, now I've got more tools to go do more, be more, you know. And so, yeah, if you don't love yourself, it's tough to ask for love from someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a big believer in and writing down what you want in the person that you love.
Right.
Interestingly, that I did this for my current husband. I wrote down, I want a man who has integrity. I want a man who has, and I wrote down those beautiful qualities and characteristics. That list didn't include my man has to have money or my man has to have this car. That's bull crap. So what is real is having someone who has integrity, is honorable, is um, loyal, is faithful. Those wonderful qualities were written down on a piece of paper, and they were written down on a piece of paper on a certain date. And when I started dating my husband, he wanted me to see his house. And so I came over to see his house, not to stay, but to see his house. And I had to go to the restroom. And when I went to the restroom, he had a piece of paper that was up on his mirror. And on that piece of paper were the qualities that he wanted in a woman because he had not had a good experience.
Wow.
And what was amazing is that those are qualities that those are mine. And that's kind of cool as it is,
Yeah.
but I wrote mine on the same date he did.
Wow.
Right. My paper was dated the same day his paper was dated. So you can call it woo woo, you can call it manifest, you can call it whatever you want to. It happened.
Nice.
And
Nice.
I just knew. And I was like, but, wait, no, we have time. We have to have time, This
Right.
can't
Yeah.
be like not supposed to be right now. I mean, it was very, very early. I think third date or something. And I'm
Right.
just like, yeah. So I didn't tell him about my list and my date until months later.
Wow. That's cool. Now, I think everybody in the world should go to therapy. I think everybody should go to therapy. But when you're in a
Mhm.
relationship, whether it's just couple or marriage, I always recommend coach, life coach, because we don't have the answers. And then a lot of people say, well, I don't want nobody telling me what I got to do in my relationship. But communication
Mhm.
is so important. And if you don't have it, it's not going to work. And my thing is this, Kari, what happens when a person can't afford these different services? Now what? Oh, well, we can't keep going every week or once a month to uh life coaching or therapy. I think that plays a big part too when they okay, I don't have the money for that, or I don't my insurance don't take care of that. Now what? What do you do?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. There are so many books. There are so many YouTube videos. There is so much information out there. If you can't manage to swing the financial cost of going to an individual therapist or an individual coach, you can avail yourself of so much information today. You really can. And no, if you're not in therapy or you don't have a coach and you don't have that one-on-one attention, but there's so much out there that you can glean. there's just so much information out there. To say, well, I can't afford to do this, everybody can afford to go up on YouTube. Everybody.
But Kari, what if
Mhm.
one does? What if one person wants to do it and the other one doesn't? Now what?
Yeah. You know what? I have coached plenty of women whose husbands did not want to, and by the
Do you
third
find it more
time,
men? Do you
that
find it more men refusing than women, or equal?
absolutely no.
Okay,
Women will come in easier.
right,
We're more open to things
right,
like that. Men, I'm not going to go into, the way they think and their processing and stuff, but don't bring me in to do touchy feely stuff.
right,
And, you know, and
right,
when they realize it's not about that, I'm not going to go deep dive into their early childhood and tell them they have all
right,
these. I'm basically gonna tell them to love their wife again and to date her and to to realize she is your queen and you are her king, and you two are the most precious gifts that were ever given to one another. And why are you not treating each other that way? And when I do that, then usually men are like, oh, yeah, why? Okay. They're usually okay with that. If they realize that I'm not going to, they don't want therapy. They don't want to be dug into. They just, but men are about solutions. That has been my experience. Men are about solutions.
just want you to tell me about your books real quick.
Yes. So, my book, Get Out of the Box and Into Play, The Secret to a Lasting Relationship, is, first off, it's only 109 pages. Secondly, it is not an instruction manual that is this huge book to go through. What it is basically is a conversation. And the book leads you through your own belief system, your husband's belief system, and it walks you through how the two of you get together and you each have your own belief systems. And many times those aren't looked at. One of you believes that the other one should think, feel, do like you do. And what we don't talk about is really the meat of how you were raised and what your belief system is. And if you can go and look at that and make agreements with each other, then you bridge the gap into the oneness that you're looking for. And then I concentrate on those things that I talked to you about listening, about the blame game, about the need to be right, and how to successfully negotiate those. And in the very back of the book is my poem, and it's called The Box. And it is a poem about my journey and what I found. And what the box is, this is what's funny. What the box is the box that both you were given and you chose to be in. And the joy is in reaching out and going to the flowers and going to the sunshine and getting out of the box and realizing you don't have to stay in that box. That you can
Right.
create a new and beautiful box on your own.
Wow, it's awesome. So where can we find you? And
You can find my book on Amazon.com. And you can find me on highestintentcoach.com.
okay. And are you're on Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff?
I am. I'm on Facebook, and Kari Petruch is on Facebook. You can contact me that way, or Highest Intent Life Coaching is also on Facebook. You can find me that way. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. That's about it. And Twitter, but not very often.
Right. Well, I just want to thank you for telling your wonderful story, and keep up the wonderful things that you're doing and helping others and your book. And I definitely got to get that book now. I'm going to an event at the end of June. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely got to have your book. I got to get that book. I definitely going to promote it and let everybody know about what you're doing. And what's the
Yeah.
title of that book again?
Get out of the box and into play. The secret
Get
to a
out of
lasting relationship.
it.
It is
Yes, yes.
not an expensive book. You know, it's pretty affordable. So, you know, I
Well,
encourage everybody to read it. You can read it in a Saturday, you know, take a Saturday afternoon and read it. It is
yes.
not a difficult read.
Yes, definitely. We all need it, especially those that are married and relationships. You definitely need it. Definitely need it.
Well,
But
there is a section in there for the single person.
oh,
So, yeah, there is a
yeah.
section in there for the single person. I do address that, you know,
Oh,
people
that's
who are
awesome.
looking for, yeah, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Kari, for being on Listen Up, Listen and podcast. We definitely going to keep in touch. And I thank you for being on the show and sharing your story.
Thank you, Preezy. I really appreciate you.
No doubt. And we're going to keep in touch.
Yes, we are.
Okay. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Kari Petruch, and you have been listening to the Listen Up, Listen In podcast with Preezy. It was such an honor to be a guest on her show. You can check me out on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and on my website, highestintentcoach.com, or you can email me at KariPetruch@highestintentcoach.com. You can also check out my book, Get Out of the Box and Into Play, The Secret to a Lasting Relationship, on Amazon.
Oh, thank you.
That concludes this episode of Listen Up, Listen In with your host, Preezy. Hey, yo, Preezy, tell them how to keep in touch, baby.
Go to Instagram, Listen Up, Listen In 5687, and on Facebook, Listen Up, Listen In. You can also email me at listenuplistenin5687@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, by following me on social media, you'll be able to see all the platforms my podcast is on. Wherever you consume my podcast, hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when a new episode is posted. Rate, review, and share this podcast.
Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in. Yeah.